It's Monday night, and we're sharpening our takes. You're tuned into The Cut, hosted by Thomas Robb.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome into our newest edition of The Cut. I'm here with you on March 18th in the year of our Lord, 2025. Super blessed to be here with you guys this evening. Hope you all had a great St. Patrick's Day. It was one for the books. Yeah, we had a bit of a situation on our hands last evening, so shout out to my amazing wife for not burying me. That was amazing. But yeah, had some great St. Patrick's Day fun with a couple of our friends. Shout out to Jeremy at Fire Chicken for providing a great time down at Bridge Street and then going to DG's to cap the evening off. Shout out to my mother for watching Wyatt last night while I acted like a degenerate. Fantastic. Appreciate you. Yeah, but we had a great week. There's some crazy stuff that's happened since I last talked to you guys. We're going to be talking this evening. We're going to be talking about the NFL free agency period, and then we're going to be talking about March Madness. The brackets came out on Sunday. This is my favorite time of the year, guys, because we have NFL free agency, spring training, we have the Masters, and we have March Madness, and then we have the NFL draft as well. So this is just a great time of year for me. Baseball starts here in a couple days. I'm super excited about that. Before we get into the meat and bones of the show, we got to shout out some businesses here. And the first one I'm shouting out today would be Kippy's Cakes. Kippy's Cakes, a business ran by friend of the show, Megan. Megan has expanded her cake empire into now sourdough bread. She's going to be selling sourdough starters here pretty soon at a very affordable price of $5 a pack. She's been making sourdough like crazy. It's absolutely fantastic. She makes the best cakes in Ashtabula County, the best cupcakes, the best cake pops. She does it all. So if you need anything dessert-wise, if you need any sourdoughs, if you need any cake pops, anything like that, go ahead, go on to Facebook and hit up Kippy's Cakes for all of your buttercream needs. You scream, I scream, we all scream for buttercream, baby. Thank God. All right, so thank you to Kippy's Cakes for sponsoring our show this evening. We certainly appreciate it. Let's get into the meat and bones tonight, guys, and we're going to start off with the NFL free agency period. So, one of the biggest moves of free agency happened right as the show ended last week when DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round pick, and then immediately after that, DK Metcalf signed an extension with the Steelers that's going to pay him north of $30 million per year. That's a lot of money for a wide receiver, but I understand what the Steelers were doing. They're trying to parlay their position of kind of a stagnant offense outside of George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth and Najee Harris departing. Obviously, it's signaling they're looking to go more towards the air attack. DK Metcalf upgrades any receiving core on any NFL team, but especially the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had George Pickens. They no longer have a guy like Deontay Johnson, that big body wide receiver. They let him walk, and he went to the Panthers, then the Ravens, then the Texans, and now Deontay Johnson doesn't have a team. But big play George Pickens is always just looking to fight somebody when something goes his way. So if he's not going to be available mentally, DK Metcalf will be available. The only thing that kind of concerns me with this is that the Pittsburgh Steelers do not have a quarterback at this time. Okay, so basically what happens, guys, is last year you have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields on the Steelers. You get rid of Kenny Pickett, trade him to the Eagles, and consequently enough, Kenny Pickett just got traded to the Browns last week. He's got to wear 2 gloves on each hand in order to grip the football. That's cool. That's about par for the course in Cleveland. But you don't have Fields anymore going to the Jets. Russell Wilson visited the Cleveland Browns, visited the New York Giants, and left without a contract after either visit from those teams. So now you're looking for someone to throw the football to George Pickens and DK Metcalf. I think this signals that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be making a move in the NFL draft to go acquire a quarterback. Now, I don't believe that they're going to be going after the big two of Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I think that they can position themselves to get them if Cleveland doesn't select the second quarterback, because it's a foregone conclusion that the Tennessee Titans are more than likely going to pick Cam Ward, or the Titans are going to trade down, allow someone to come up and select Cam Ward, and then when Cleveland picks at number 2, they could either pick Shedeur Sanders or Abdul Carter. Now, if Shedeur Sanders makes it past the Giants, which all signs point to that he won't, makes it to, say, the Jets at 7. Jets could probably use him while Justin Fields is the bridge quarterback. The New Orleans Saints have Derek Carr. Derek Carr wasn't exactly the sexy pick for the new coach down there. They could definitely use Shedeur Sanders, but after that, there's not really a team that really requires a quarterback until the Steelers. Steelers could trade up, like I said, but I think the price of going from the low 20s to the upper like 7, 8, 9 is going to be a little too rich for the Rooney's blood in that regard. I could see something like maybe Aaron Rodgers is still in his standoff. He doesn't know if he wants to play anymore. Aaron Rodgers did visit with Pittsburgh, so you could see Aaron Rodgers go there now with a revamped receiving core. Aaron Rodgers, though, does his best work when he does have a dependable run game. With Najee Harris going west to join Jim Harbaugh on the Chargers and Jaylen Warren as really your only other running back, I don't necessarily know if Aaron Rodgers would find the situation in Pittsburgh very sexy, right? There's been a big shift in talent with DK Metcalf going to the Steelers, and it's undeniable. If you have someone with a pulse, they could throw the football, and either Pickens, Metcalf, Freiermuth is going to snag it out of the air. So, I'm thinking that this puts the Steelers in a better position than they were 2 weeks ago. But I still think that the Ravens are the cream of the crop in the AFC North. It's going to take more than just getting DK Metcalf to dethrone the Ravens. We could definitely see the Steelers back in the wild card, but without a good quarterback, this move is more of a lateral move than anything. Now, there's no secret that the receiver market this offseason for free agency has been high. Ja'Marr Chase just got paid by the Bengals. He is now the highest contract in NFL history for a non-quarterback. He just got paid by the Bengals yesterday, and T. Higgins, his running mate, also got paid. He is the highest wide receiver too in terms of money in the NFL now. So now the Bengals will be paying Higgins, Chase, and Joe Burrow a combined $127 million over the next 5 years. That's more than half the cap. You're going to have to really, really draft well and make value free agent signings for these two deals to make sense. Yes, you don't let guys like Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins walk. You never let guys like that walk. But what I will tell you is you can't have more than half your cap taken up by 3 guys, right? You need to field a team. You need to pay offensive linemen. You need to pay defensive linemen, corners, linebackers. They're all getting more expensive. So now what we need to look at if we're the Cincinnati Bengals is, hey, how do I stop building my team like I'm an 8-year-old playing Madden Dynasty mode? And how do I start building a team that's built to succeed with these 3 weapons that I find myself having on offense? And I think the best route for the Bengals to take is building through the draft, maybe trading out of their first round pick, accumulating more picks down the way, getting some picks for next year, because you are going to need to replace talent that's going to want to get paid, right? You're not going to be able to keep signing guys off of free agency to big deals, because you have to be very cognizant that the money that you're paying Burrow, Chase, and Higgins are taking a good portion of your cap room. And Joe Burrow only has 2 years left on his deal, I believe. So Burrow's going to want another deal here pretty soon. And his price isn't going to go down. It's only going to continue to go up. So with that being said, I view the signings of Chase and Higgins as kind of a loss, mainly because they invested way too much money into their core. A win for receivers, though, did come in the form of Davante Adams joining Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams on a 2-year deal where he's getting $20 million a year. Absolutely fantastic. It shuts down any semblance of an Aaron Rodgers reunion because the Rams have their quarterback of the now. He's good for the next 3 years, Matt Stafford. He just got a restructure on his deal after wanting to leave. Davante Adams has a competent quarterback with him for the first time in his career outside of Aaron Rodgers. He had Derek Carr for a little bit. He had Aiden O'Connell. He had Gardner Minshew. Those guys are serviceable NFL quarterbacks, but they're not Aaron Rodgers. Matthew Stafford isn't Aaron Rodgers, but what Matthew Stafford is he's a winning quarterback who knows how to find his receivers, who knows how to win big games. He won the Super Bowl just a few years ago, lest we forget. It's going to be a very interesting time in Los Angeles also because Cooper Kupp left. Cooper Kupp now finds himself joining Sam Darnold on the Seattle Seahawks, which is absolutely crazy. Sam Darnold gets a 3-year, $110 million deal. Cooper Kupp gets a pretty big deal as well. And my question is, you trade DK Metcalf away. You cut Tyler Lockett, who were two stalwarts of your receiving core for years. You have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. You have Noah Fant as your tight end. And you have the emerging star Jackson Smith and Jigba on your team. But does adding Cooper Kupp really move the needle that much to make the Seahawks contenders in the NFC West? And I don't think it does. I really don't think it does. Sam Darnold did a lot in Minnesota. He was a very high pick. He was a top 5 selection in the NFL draft in 2018 by the New York Jets. He bounced around for a little bit in his career. He went to the Panthers. He went to the Niners. And he finally finds his home in Minnesota. He does a great job. Does Cooper Kupp move the needle enough for Sam Darnold to succeed in Seattle? That's the question that's on everybody's mind right now. I will reiterate. I don't think that the signing of Kupp and having Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to parlay the success that Sam Darnold found himself having. He had a great running back, a receiving back in Aaron Jones in Minnesota. He had the best receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison was wide receiver 2 there when he was healthy. TJ Hawkinson was his tight end. All the offensive line was fantastic too. All the storm and everything was perfect for Sam Darnold to succeed in Minnesota for the first time in his career. And sometimes that's all you really need. You know what I mean? Sometimes all you really need is that one good season to really make it click, right? We see it all the time. Jordan Love, for instance, was the backup to Aaron Rodgers for years. He was a first-round pick out of the University of Nevada. Didn't know if he was going to be anything. He didn't really show a lot in the limited action that he did get, but he was given the reins as the quarterback, and it clicked for him, right? Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL draft a few years ago, got his chance, and now has led the 49ers on playoff runs pretty much every year except for this past one due to a myriad amount of injuries to Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. George Kittle was really the only threat that he had outside of white boy Ricky Pearsall, but he got shot for Christ's sake. But Purdy still succeeded, right? Sam Darnold could absolutely succeed in Seattle. I just don't see it personally happening. Sam Darnold has a great understanding of the game, and Sam Darnold will win you games. But the NFC West is a very tough division. A very tough division. You've got the Cardinals. You've got the Rams. I mean, It's going to be very tough to make anything happen out there unless he's pulling the trigger and being very decisive with what he's doing. Um, could I see the Seahawks making a run at the playoffs next year? I can see it happening, but I don't think it's very likely. They lost a lot on offense. They're losing a little bit on defense, and they're aging on defense as well. So it's going to be very tough to replicate success like they had just a few years ago. And even last year, as they were going on their playoff run that ultimately ended up falling a little bit short. But congratulations to Sam Darnold for finally getting the bag, a 3-year, $110 million deal. Absolutely fantastic for the young man. We're happy for you here at The Cut. Just want to see you succeed, Sam. You were really cast aside, like a lot of those guys in the 2018 draft class. Baker Mayfield was another one. The Browns just weren't patient with him. The Bills were patient with Josh Allen, and now Josh Allen is Mr. MVP. Lamar Jackson wasn't even viewed as a quarterback going into the draft, and now he's been MVP and going on playoff runs for seemingly the last 5-6 years. So a lot of people gave up on players in the 2018 draft. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were those guys. Baker now has a deal with the Buccaneers that keeps him there for the next 5 years, and Sam Darnold's got a home for the next 3 years, barring a trade. So shout out to these guys for persevering and showing everyone what it means to, hey, you might have a bad day, you might have a bad week, you might have a bad month, but that doesn't mean it's a bad life or a bad career, right? So shout out to them for persevering, getting their money, and showing the world what they're able to do when they're put in a situation where they are actually able to succeed and not be judged every week unnecessarily. So to wrap up our NFL talk for the day, I also want to talk about the mass exodus going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. So after winning the Super Bowl, as we all know, the Eagles put a drubbing on the Kansas City Chiefs about a month ago. The Eagles are losing key contributors on their defense and a key offensive lineman. So Milton Williams, a defensive tackle, ends up going to the Patriots. Darius Slay, one of their starting corners, is now going across the state to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. Josh Sweat, who was absolutely all over the backfield in the Super Bowl and all over Patrick Mahomes' shit all night, just signed with the Cardinals. CJ Gardner-Johnson, one of the best safeties in the game, got traded to the Texans. And Mekhi Becton, the tackle turned guard that everyone wanted to cast aside, now has a home with Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers. There's a stark difference with the Philadelphia Eagles losing talent and the Seattle Seahawks losing talent. I just talked about, hey, I don't think that Sam Darnold's going to have the success because DK Metcalf got traded and they released Tyler Lockett, two stalwarts in the receiving group, right? There's a stark difference here, though, guys, and that is ownership. The Eagles are built in such a way that a lot of their guys that they had and a lot of the guys that are leaving right now are homegrown talent for the Eagles, right? They drafted these guys or they got them very early in their career, maybe as undrafted free agents or parts of trades. They were small pieces to a big trade, right? The Eagles have been able to build their team so well through the NFL draft. And now the Eagles are in such a position where they're still cap compliant. They just paid Saquon Barkley a lot of money. A.J. Brown got a lot of money, and Devontae Smith got a lot of money. Jalen Hurts has a lot of money. But they still are cap compliant, and they're drafting these defensive guys and these offensive linemen. They're drafting these guys, and they're developing them very well because of the positional coaches that Nick Sirianni is employing to allow them to succeed, right? I don't really see Milton Williams leaving as that big of an issue because they'll be able to go out and get a defensive lineman, right? They're going to be able to go into their bag of players that they drafted, like Keely Ringo, who was drafted out of Georgia a few years ago. He hasn't really made an impact, but it's because he's been behind a lot of these guys for a while. Now Ringo has had 2-3 years to sit and learn, and now he's able to parlay that into a starting job. He was a shutdown corner in college, and now he hopes to turn that in with NFL defense. I really do believe that that can happen. I really do believe that we are going to see the Philadelphia Eagles youth movement come around and their veteran leadership that they have set at all the offensive skill positions will make it so that the Eagles are not going to lose a step. It's going to be a very awesome thing to see. And I can't wait to see it, mainly because we talk about teams that lose their guys year after year after year, and it's almost like, oh, well, they're never going to be able to do anything like that again. It's because front offices aren't always the best at drafting, but the Philadelphia Eagles have shown time and time again that they're willing to take the risk and they're willing to reach for the guy that they want, and they're rarely wrong. They got guys like Mekhi Becton from the New York Jets, who, again, a cast off, and it was a reclamation project, and the Eagles were able to turn him from a tackle into a guard and allow him to do something. They lost Jason Kelce just a couple years ago, one of the best centers of all time, and they were able to go draft a couple guys, sign some mid-tier guys, and turn them into studs. So the Eagles, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for losing their guys but not worrying about it. They're not necessarily sweating it. It's pretty awesome. And to finish out the night with football, we talked last week. I found out from Anthony that Myles Garrett signed back with the Cleveland Browns. So what does that mean for the Cleveland Browns? A lot of people that I work with or that I listen to on the radio or in my friend group are saying, hey, you know, Myles said it wasn't about the money, that he didn't care how much money they threw at him, but he just wanted to win. So, you know, by him re-signing, that means that the Browns are going to do something. I don't necessarily think that that's the case, guys. I really don't. He has 123.5 million reasons why he came back to the Cleveland Browns. Okay? Money talks, bullshit walks. I've thought that for a very long time. The Cleveland Browns don't have a plan. The Cleveland Browns' only plan was, we're trying to build a new stadium. We need to have fan interest. So we need to go and make sure our best player, the best defensive player in the NFL, is happy and is on our team. Because if we don't have that, no one's going to come support us at the new stadium that we're spending $1 billion on. So, yeah, they told Myles that they have a plan, and the plan is to pay him. He's happy. He's placated. Good. I love seeing Myles Garrett in a Cleveland Browns uniform. It's the only reason that I watch Cleveland Browns football is Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb. Well, Nick Chubb still isn't signed in Cleveland yet. I don't know what they're waiting on. It ain't the money, because they've proven that they don't really care about spending money. They gave Deshaun Watson a bag. They gave Myles Garrett a bag. I do think, though, that with Myles Garrett coming back, it puts Kevin Stefanski in a very precarious position, because now the pressure is going to be on Stefanski for the first time in his career to win. We had pressure before. Stefanski had pressure, especially after that playoff run that the Browns went on back in 2020 when they beat the Steelers 2 weeks in a row, and then the absolute bullshit call where Hollywood Higgins got hit in the head in the end zone and the ball got fumbled out of bounds and it was a safety. Absolutely ridiculous call, one of the most mad moments of my life. But Stefanski never has had pressure to win, because he's always done just enough, right? When Deshaun got hurt a few years ago, when his shoulder got all thrown out of whack, we were winning games with PJ Walker. We signed Joe Flacco. We make the playoffs and then just get boat raced by the Texans. But going into this year, he didn't have a lot of pressure on him to win, because he had that success the year before. He's been coach of the year twice. Now it puts Kevin Stefanski in an unfair position to have to win now with a roster that isn't conducive to winning. You have Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, Cedric Tillman, and Jerome Ford right now as your position skill players that are absolutely fantastic, right? If you don't have a quarterback throwing him the ball, it's not going to matter. There's been no sign of Jameis Winston back in town. I wouldn't be opposed to Jameis back in town. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back Joe Flacco. I wouldn't be opposed to signing Russell Wilson. I would be opposed to drafting a quarterback at number 2 and then having him go out day 1 and be thrown to the wolves and shoot the kid's confidence. And then because it would be Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders would be the pick at 2 because Cam Ward is going number 1 overall. If Shedeur is treated unfairly, the next thing that's going to happen is that Deion's going to get involved. Deion Sanders, his father, one of the greatest defensive backs in NFL history, one of the most versatile players in NFL history, and the head coach of the University of Colorado right now for football. Okay? I don't want the Deion circus in town on Stefanski, because then it's just the Odell Beckham father situation again, where he makes the video of Baker Mayfield throwing all those picks, right? That's attention that the Cleveland Browns don't need. The Cleveland Browns need to get back to being focused on winning, because when Stefanski is calling his plays and when Stefanski is on, the Cleveland Browns are on. If you can just build a competent defense and you can recreate that magic from 2 years ago, you don't necessarily need a world-breaking quarterback. You go back to the year 2000 when the Baltimore Ravens played the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. They had the most dominant defense of all time, and they had Jamal Lewis and Priest Holmes in the backfield, and they had Trent Dilfer as their quarterback. Trent Dilfer later came to Cleveland, threw about 8 touchdowns that year probably because he was dog water, but he won a Super Bowl because he was able to just play a ball control game and was able to rely on that dominant defense to give up 10 or less points a night. All they had to do was score a few points with the running game, some field goals, maybe throw a touchdown, right? I wouldn't mind necessarily a guy in the mold of Trent Dilfer coming and playing quarterback for Cleveland. I really would have liked Gardner Minshew, but Gardner Minshew just did sign a backup contract with the Los Angeles Chargers, so that's out. But I wouldn't be opposed to a Joe Flacco or a Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston coming back to Cleveland. So before we move on from the NFL talk, does signing Myles Garrett mean anything for Cleveland, guys? Does it mean anything at all? Does it mean that the Browns have more moves up their sleeves? I'm going to tell you, I don't think it does, but let's get everybody's reaction. What do you guys think? Does Myles Garrett coming back mean that the Browns actually have a plan? Or are they just blowing smoke up our butts? You tell me. All right. So, before we move on, I want to do another sponsor shout out. I want to shout out Cracked in the Ashtabula Mall. So, Anthony at crackedrepair.com. You can visit him for all of your cell phone and electronic repair needs. Do you have a cracked screen? Is your iPhone screen all messed up? Mine's not, but yours might be. So visit crackedrepair.com or visit Anthony in the Ashtabula Town Square for all of your cell phone and electronic repair needs. Maybe you have an HDMI port that's messed up on your Xbox Series X. Anthony might be able to do something for you. Maybe you have a problem with your camera on your phone not doing anything. Maybe he has something for you. All you have to do, guys, crackedrepair.com or visit Anthony in the Ashtabula Town Square for all your electronic repair needs. And Anthony's trying to pull up the webpage right now, but the internet's giving us some problems.
It looks like it's just my website. Looks like we're good on the internet side. But
it's yeah, the website?
Of course, when we want to plug it, right? We
Yeah,
get some technical difficulties.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'll have to figure that one out.
Figure that one out. But crackrepair.com, guys.
440-536-4044. Call me. I'll fix your phone. All you cracked heads.
There you go, baby. All right. So now the bread and butter of this show this evening that I am so excited to get into you guys with. This past Sunday, college basketball had Selection Sunday, and we now have the field, guys. We now have the brackets, and we're going to be doing one live tonight. But before we get into doing the bracket live, I need to talk to you guys about a few things going on in the tournament. So before I get started, I need to know, who are your guys' favorite March Madness players. Who are the guys that stick out in your memory as being great players in the NCAA tournament? Now, I'm 35 years old, so I have about 30 years of memories of these tournaments. I can remember Adam Morrison and Gonzaga losing and Morrison breaking down at half court. I can remember Al Horford and the Florida Gators absolutely doing work against the Ohio State Buckeyes when my favorite college basketball player of all time, Greg Oden, played for the Buckeyes when he was part of the Thad Five of Oden, Conley, Cook, Lighty, and Othello Harrington. That was a great squad. Great squad. The March Madness is one of my favorite times of the year. I love the pageantry behind it. I love doing the brackets. I love all the history behind it. And speaking of the history behind it, you always have that one guy in the tournament that's featured and people are rallying behind him, right? Well, I think this year you've got two of those guys. And the first guy I'm going to talk about is a guy from a mid-major school, Drake. Okay? Not Drake the rapper, not BBL Drizzy. We're talking about Bennett Stieritz from Drake University. And Bennett Stieritz transferred to Drake with his coach this past offseason. His coach got promoted. His coach from Division II came to Division I, brought Stieritz with him. And Stieritz, I fell in love with the kid's game during the conference championship week when they were playing Bradley for their conference championship week. And I fell in love with the kid's grittiness and determination. It reminded me of like an Adam Morrison, Jimmer Fredette, JJ Redick type situation where the kid is just absolutely going off. He's on fire. He wasn't missing a shot, but he also seemed to never leave the court. And that was interesting. It was interesting because in the past 14 games, he has played in all but 5 minutes of those games. So think about that, guys. 40 minutes a game. 14 games. He's been off the court for 5 total minutes in that amount of time. That's Iron Man potential right there. That is absolutely insane. So Bennett Stieritz averaging about 19 points a game. Bradley is a very slow-paced team. They're not going to break beat the brakes off you, I should say, with their speed, but they're a very methodical, well-ran offense. And Bennett Stieritz is averaging 19.5 points a game for these guys right now. I think that Bennett Stieritz and Drake as a whole have the potential to go very far in this tournament because of the slow pace that they play at. They're able to slow the pace down, they're able to force turnovers, and they're able to shoot effectively from outside, and they're able to bang down low inside, right? And that's a recipe for success when you go into March and you're not playing your conference opponents anymore, where everyone kind of gets a little bit used to each other, right? You are playing guys you probably never saw before, and the allure of the one and done, right? No one wants to be that team that's one and done. So these young mid-major teams that are just filled with guys that probably won't be NBA players but might play overseas in like Lithuania or China or Russia, they are the guys that are playing their hearts out because this might be the last time that they get to play organized basketball, right? So I think that there's a little bit more invested in it for them, and especially a guy like Bennett Stieritz, who isn't really getting NBA draft buzz. He might be a G League player. He might be a great player for a team like Olympiakos over in the Greek League or in the Spanish League. But as of right now, Bennett Stieritz hasn't played his way into NBA draft consideration. But he is next in the long line of mid-major leaders who can rewrite history in March. And you got guys like Adam Morrison from Gonzaga, Jimmer Fredette from BYU, Gordon Hayward from Butler. Gordon Hayward had a hell of a run for a few years, leading Butler, the Bulldogs. And then AJ Slaughter from Western Kentucky back in 2009. These guys all played major minutes in these tournaments. They played upset, and they were the reason that their team succeeded, right? Adam Morrison really kickstarted that tradition of Gonzaga of being an elite March team, but they came up just short, unfortunately. Adam Morrison parlayed that success of Gonzaga into being one of the top picks in his draft to the Charlotte Bobcats. The thought was that he could join Emeka Okafor and Gerald Wallace and really make a big three down there. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Morrison could never catch on in the NBA. Same thing with Jimmer Fredette. I mean, Jimmer Fredette gets drafted to the Sacramento Kings. Small player, play style not really conducive to the NBA. He was a chucker, and he really had no semblance of a drive game. He did it at BYU, but it was against lesser competition. The Pac-12 was, and the Mountain West Conference really weren't that big at that time. Gordon Hayward really played himself into a great career in the NBA, getting drafted by the Utah Jazz and then going to the Boston Celtics and then the Charlotte Hornets. He recently was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, hasn't played much, but Gordon Hayward had the longest and best career out of any of those guys, those March legends, outside of J.J. Redick. But J.J. Redick's not from a mid-major. J.J. Redick was Mr. Duke, and now is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, coaching LeBron. J.J. Redick was in college while LeBron was in the NBA. How crazy is that, Anthony? Did you ever think about that?
I've never thought of it like that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Like, J.J. Redick is legit in college, like a sophomore in college when LeBron's been in the league for like 2-3 years at that point. And now J.J. Redick is coaching him. And the Lakers aren't doing too bad anymore. I mean, the Lakers played themselves into the 2nd or 3rd seed right now. So that's pretty crazy. But that just goes to show you, guys like J.J. Redick, guys like Gordon Hayward, they parlay that March success into NBA success and then hopefully future coaching jobs. I think Gordon Hayward is going to be a fantastic coach in the NBA one day, should he want to be. That guy knows the X's and O's better than probably anyone, I think. The next guy the next thing I want to talk about is a team, and that's the Baylor Bears. So Baylor is the 9th seed in the bracket, okay? You have 16 seeds in 4 different regions, and they're the 9th seed in their region. They are going up against the 8th seed Mississippi State. I think that this is going to be a big upset pick, guys, because Mississippi State has a bunch of injuries right now, and they've lost 5 of their last 7 games. So, with that being said, Baylor has VJ Edgecombe, who was one of the best high school players in the country going into Baylor. He had a very slow start to his collegiate career, but now he's come on. He's ready to lead, and I think that he is going to be one of the names to watch along with Bennett Stieritz and a gentleman I'm going to talk about, and 2 more gentlemen I'm going to talk about here in a few moments in this tournament. If Baylor beats Mississippi State, I think that Baylor has a very good shot to beat the number 1 seed in their region, Duke. And the reason I say that is another player, Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall recruit in the country, went to Duke. He's hurt. He hurt his ankle. He doesn't have a fracture, but that is going to play big into what's going on at Duke. Now, Duke had like the number 1 recruiting class in the country. They got shooters, they've got big men, but the alpha, the apex predator for the Duke Blue Devils and John Shayer's team was undoubtedly Cooper Flagg. Unfortunately, with him getting injured, I don't know if he's at 100%, but 80% of Cooper Flagg is better than 100% of some other players. Cooper Flagg is undoubtedly the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft this coming year. There's thoughts that he might come back to Duke? Absolutely not. That kid's going to go chase a bag, especially now that he got a brush with an injury with the ankle. He doesn't want to risk anything like that. He's going to give it his all in this tournament, guaranteed. But I don't think you're going to see Flag back next year. And I think if Baylor can beat Mississippi State, Baylor will give Duke the toughest test in the tournament. So, before we fill out the brackets, let's talk about one more guy. And that guy is going to be Mr. Hunter Dickinson. So, Hunter Dickinson is my favorite player in college hoops right now. And he wasn't for a very long time. Because Hunter Dickinson used to attend Scum in the state up north. He transferred from that Wolverines team down to Kansas, playing for the Jayhawks. Hunter Dickinson is a beast. He's an absolute animal. Tom Sawicki. Oh my God. Brother, first of all, my brother in Christ, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope that the family's great. I hope that your child's doing fantastic. I hope that the wife's healthy and that you're doing great, man. I hope that the YouTube videos and everything are going great for you. Absolute pleasure having you on the show when we did a few years ago. One of the funniest nights of my life was meeting you. Thank you so much for supporting our show, supporting us. We'd like to do the same to you. Thank you for joining us this evening, Thomas. Again, shout out to you and your family. But I don't think I can throw a dunk up right now on live. My knees are a little creaky. I have Adidas Ultra Boosts on. I don't have my Jordans or my T-Max on, so I can't do that right now in good faith, and I haven't stretched. But Thomas, great question. What team do I think is going to go all the way? I'm going to be filling out a bracket here live on air, and this is going to be my ultimate bracket. I filled out about 20. I've been saving my serious thoughts for tonight, Thomas. So, tune in within the next 15 minutes. You're going to know who I think is going to go all the way.
And we're going to make you do a dunk on live on air, Tom.
What?
We're getting a basketball for you. We're going to have you dunk. We're going to oil your knees up and you're dunking.
I'm not the fucking Tin Man, Anthony. I have feelings.
You're
Okay?
dunking.
Oh, maybe.
All right. Hey,
All
if
right,
you
maybe.
want, look, if we
What's up?
think if anybody's watching, if they want to see Tom dunk, I suggest to just comment below, let them know.
Let them know, just like they
Tom
said.
Sawicki, that was a wonderful idea. I think Tom should dunk too.
Brother, the last time I dunked, I posted someone with a windmill.
We're gonna do it after the bracket.
Okay.
After the bracket, before we end it, that's how we'll end it out.
Where's the hoop?
Right over here behind me.
Okay.
All right,
All right, fuck.
let's do it.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Do it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it, we're going to do it live. But Hunter Dickinson, a true beast on the interior, and a great shooter, and a great rebounder, plays amazing team defense. Hunter Dickinson is that motherfucker, man. He is the guy. I think Hunter Dickinson, outside of Cooper Flagg, is going to have the best NBA career out of any of these guys in the tournament right now. So, Kansas, a 7 seed. They have a very tough route in the tournament. But I'm very excited to see when you have a player of Hunter Dickinson's caliber, you let that man go loose. And Bill Self, one of the best college basketball coaches of all time, knows that. He plays a very small lineup. Colt, last name's Colt. I don't remember his first name. He's a little tiny guy, but he's a shooter. And Dickinson and him play so well in the pick and roll together that I think a lethal combination is about to be set up and unleashed during this trip in Omaha. So, let's fill out a bracket, guys. Let's fill out a bracket. You guys ready? We're going to do it live together. Anthony, I think you've got the program set up there. You all ready for me?
I'm ready, sir.
All right. So you guys are about to get my bracket picks. So we're going to start out in the South region. Auburn against the play-in team. I'm not worried about play-in teams, guys. Not worried about it at all. Auburn all day. Now, Louisville-Creighton. That's a very interesting game. Both match up very well together, but I don't see Louisville matching up that well with Creighton's shooting. I'm going Creighton over Louisville for the first upset of the bracket. Michigan versus UC San Diego. Now, UC San Diego, guys, they're a very interesting team. This is the Tritons' first year of NCAA eligibility as they've moved up from Division II. In their 50-year history, they've never made the big dance because they've never been eligible. They can make some noise in the tournament. But Michigan is too well coached, and they have too many good players on that bench. They go about 9 deep. I'm going to go Michigan. As much as it hurts me to pick them to have any form of success, I'm going Michigan. Texas A&M, Yale. Now, A&M is beset by injuries right now. And unfortunately, you are not going to see them at full strength. However, Yale is a great team, but I don't think that they match up well with what Texas A&M has going for them right now. So I'm going A&M. Ole Miss. Now, they are going to play whoever wins between San Diego State University and North Carolina. So it's a bit of a 2-pick here. I'm saying San Diego State wins against North Carolina. So it's actually Ole Miss versus San Diego State. Ole Miss is going to win. Now, Iowa State versus Lipscomb. Iowa State is a victim of an upset almost every year, and I think this year's no different. Your really big first upset of the tournament is going to be Lipscomb over Iowa State. Marquette in New Mexico. The Lobos are a fantastic team, and they play very fast. New Mexico plays very fast, but Marquette has always been a ball control, guard dominant team that produces fantastic defense year after year after year. I'm going Marquette here. And Michigan State versus Bryant, I don't think that it's even close. Michigan State by 1 billion. So now we're going to scroll down. And we're going to be in the West. Florida versus Norfolk State. Florida is the number 4 overall 1 seed because they started slower in the year. Arguably, I believe Florida should be the number 1 seed overall outside of Duke. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I think Florida is the best team in this tournament. I'm going to go Florida here. The back-to-back champion UConn Huskies are going up against the Oklahoma Sooners. And I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Bobby Hurley is a different animal in March. You got to go UConn here. Memphis and Colorado State. Now, this is a very interesting game. Very interesting game. I don't think that I think that it's close and it might be an upset, but you're not going to get it. Memphis is taking it over Colorado State. Maryland versus Grand Canyon. Now this, guys, this is going to be a game. This is going to be an absolute stunner of a game. And I think that Maryland ekes it out at the end, but Grand Canyon is no one to trifle with. Grand Canyon... No, you know what? I'm going Grand Canyon. I got to go Grand Canyon here. I got to. Missouri versus Drake. We talked about Drake earlier, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, and you guys know how I feel about them. I'm not high on Missouri. I don't think that they're a very good basketball team. I'm taking Drake with the upset. Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington. Texas Tech all day. Texas Tech is one of the best teams in the tournament. And now we get down to Kansas versus Arkansas. This is John Calipari's first year coaching the Arkansas Razorbacks, and he brought a lot of guys from Kentucky with him. But Bill Self and Hunter Dickinson are too much. Kansas beats Arkansas. And then St. John's versus Omaha, guys. This can only be wrote in a storybook because Rick Pitino, the old coach at Louisville, he's back and he's leading St. John's to relevancy again. St. John with the win, baby. And now we're going to go back up and we're going to go to the East bracket. Now this is going to be an interesting bracket here. Of course, you're going to go Duke. And then I talked about it earlier. I got Baylor winning. I got Baylor beating Mississippi State. You got Oregon versus Liberty. And Oregon, for all they are, they're a Nike affiliate school. They got an ungodly amount of NIL money. But I think Liberty is just too much for them here. Arizona versus Akron. This is actually a better matchup than people are giving anyone credit for. Akron can shoot the lights out. But Arizona just is too strong in the front court to allow the Zips, the pesky Zips, to come out when. I'm definitely taking Arizona here. VCU versus BYU. Now, this is another interesting game. Very, very interesting game. I got VCU in an upset over BYU here. BYU depends too much on shooting, and they get cold very quickly. VCU for years was the upstart and the bracket buster, and I think you're going to see more of the same. So, Virginia Commonwealth over Brigham Young. Wisconsin, Montana. You got to go Wisconsin here. Those Big Ten boys, those big burly white boys playing Big Ten basketball all day, boy. You got to go Wisconsin. The St. Mary's, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt in college football, Diego Paiva this year played upset quite a few times. And I think that magic continues. Vanderbilt beats St. Mary's. And Alabama routs Robert Morris. Alabama just destroys them. I don't think it's even close. Now we're going to go down to the Midwest bracket. Houston in a landslide, ladies and gentlemen. Gonzaga, Georgia's a lot closer than people give it credit for, but I got to go Gonzaga. Clemson, McNeese State. Guys, Clemson, McNeese State. That's a interesting one. If you guys haven't, go look up the video of McNeese State's aura manager, Amir Khan. He's blasting food low, in and out, and rapping with the players as they're coming out. And I saw that, and I said, McNeese State to the Elite Eight immediately. So I got to go with that tradition, man. McNeese State all day. Purdue versus High Point. Purdue is so affiliated with March Madness, and I don't see that changing. Purdue in a landslide. Now, Texas versus Xavier. Texas has Trey Johnson, the star freshman. Xavier, led by Thad Matta. Great schools. I got Texas beating Xavier, and I'm going to go Texas over Illinois. So, Texas advances. Kentucky versus Troy. Mark Pope's done a hell of a job at Kentucky. Troy is a darling right now because they are the money team, but I got to go Kentucky. UCLA, Utah State. UCLA had a bit of a tough time in its first year in the Big Ten, while Utah State is always so insanely consistent. I got to go Utah State with the upset. And then Tennessee versus Wofford. Tennessee all day. Tennessee all day. So now we're going to go back up. We're going to go back over to the South bracket where we got Auburn and Creighton. Auburn versus Creighton. Creighton is a shooting team. They're a great team, but Auburn is just too strong on the interior. I got Auburn. Michigan versus Texas A&M. Again, I hate doing this, but I got to go Michigan. Now we got Ole Miss versus Lipscomb. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I think that it could be an upset, guys. I really think Lipscomb could do it. I'm going to go Lipscomb. I'm going to go with the 14 seeds getting to the Sweet 16. Marquette, Michigan State, Jason Richardson's son, Michigan State legend, has been on fire. I'm going Michigan State. So now we're down to Florida versus UConn. Like I said, Florida is the best team, in my opinion, in the college tournament right now. Best team in the tournament. But Bobby Hurley is the best coach. And I got to go UConn on the upset. Memphis, Grand Canyon. Memphis all day. Memphis is one of my favorite teams, guys. I love watching the Memphis Tigers. They're absolutely fantastic. And I think that we're going to be introduced to something great in this Sweet 16 because Drake upsets Texas Tech here. And then Bill Self versus Rick Pitino. And I think you never discount experience over the good story. So I go Kansas here. Now we're going to head back up. We've got Duke versus Baylor. And I said I think that Baylor could pull an upset here. But I don't think it's very likely. I'm going to go Duke still, beating Baylor. Liberty versus Arizona. And I got to go Zona, guys. I got to go Arizona. Wisconsin versus VCU. And I got to go Wisconsin here. Wisconsin is just that team. Now, interesting here. Vanderbilt versus Alabama. About 5 months ago, the Vanderbilt Commodores came into town in Alabama and upset them to Crimson Tide. They were unranked, beating a top 3 team in the country. And I think history repeats itself. Vanderbilt over Alabama. Now, Houston versus Gonzaga. I think it's tough. I mean, Houston only lost 4 games all year, and they've got LJ Cryer averaging 15 and a half points a night, and Emmanuel Sharp averaging 13 points a night. Graham Ike and Khalif Battle from Gonzaga are great players, and they're both averaging north of 15 points a night. But I got to go Houston here based on the experience. And I just told you guys how I feel about this team. Just on vibes alone, guys, I got to pick McNeese over Purdue. Texas is going to be playing Kentucky, and I've got Kentucky. And I'm thinking Tennessee edges out Utah State, and it's going to be close. It's going to be very close, but Tennessee all day. So we've got our Sweet 16 set. Auburn versus Michigan, Lipscomb, Michigan State, UConn, Memphis, Drake, Kansas, Duke, Arizona, Wisconsin, Vanderbilt, Houston, McNeese, and Kentucky, Tennessee. So the first game of the Sweet 16, Auburn, Michigan. I got Auburn. Lipscomb, Michigan State. The Cinderella run ends. Michigan State blows them out. So our first Elite Eight matchup, Auburn, Michigan State, a 1 versus 2. UConn, Memphis. Hurley's homies pull through again, beat Memphis. The Cinderella run for Drake ends as Kansas comes up big and puts an end to their dreams and aspirations. Duke versus Arizona. Now this is most years, guys. This is a national championship matchup. I mean, you've got Con Newpol averaging 14.5 points a night. Caleb Love for the Wildcats, the North Carolina transfer leading the Wildcats. I got to go Arizona over Duke here in an upset to go to the Elite Eight. Wisconsin Vanderbilt. Wisconsin ends Vanderbilt's Cinderella season. Houston and McNeese. I'm going Houston. They're too strong. And then Kentucky upsets Tennessee. So we got our Elite Eight here of Auburn versus Michigan State, UConn, Kansas, Houston, Kentucky, and Arizona, Wisconsin. First game, Auburn, Michigan State. I have Michigan State with the upset. Our first Final Four team is Michigan State. UConn versus Kansas. And I've got Bill Self finally getting over that hump and getting to the Final Four. So our first Final Four matchup is 2-seed Michigan State versus 7-seed Kansas. Arizona, Wisconsin. I think Caleb Love, like I said, is that guy. Jaden Bradley, another well-balanced guard. John Tonji, 20 points a night, 5 rebounds a game. They match up so well, guys. But Arizona takes it from them. And our final game before the Final Four, Houston versus Kentucky. And it's tough. It's tough. I'm going to say fuck it. I'm going Houston. So our Final Four set, Michigan State versus Kansas, Arizona versus Houston. Michigan State, Kansas. I understand Jace Richardson and the Michigan State Spartans with Jaden Atkins. That backcourt's lethal. But Hunter Dickinson and Zeke Mayo get it done. Kansas wins the game. Arizona, Houston. That's going to be another tough game. The odds probably favor Houston. But I go Arizona, guys. I got the Wildcats versus the Jayhawks in the national title game meeting in San Antonio on April 7th. And my winner of the NCAA tournament, the Kansas Jayhawks. How many points will be scored total in the championship game? It's going to be 139 total points. I don't know what I base that on. I just base it on something. So Kansas is your national champion. That's who I have going all the way this year. It's never a doubt. I have Kansas winning this tournament. They're long overdue. And it's a road to get there, ladies and gentlemen, but they did it. Now, a lot of people ask, why don't you have a lot of upsets in here? I think with the rise of NIL, teams are more evenly matched than ever. And now it comes down more to coaching than it does player talent. Can a team like High Point upset Purdue? Absolutely. And in fact, in a few brackets, I have them upsetting Purdue. In fact, in a couple brackets, I have UC San Diego beating Michigan. I had UC San Diego going to my Elite Eight at one point. But, unfortunately, sometimes when we get a little overzealous with the upsets, we lose before we win because we're just at that point where we did too much. We wanted to get too cute, right? And I'm not a guy who likes to get too cute. I'm a guy who likes to play the odds and play the money line and play the spread. I'm a degenerate, but I'm not that much of a degenerate, right? So if you're looking for good upset picks of guys that I might have not picked, UNC Wilmington could absolutely upset Texas Tech and maybe make a run to the Sweet 16. I could see them beating Drake if they actually got to that point. If you're looking for another one, Wofford could absolutely upset Tennessee. It could absolutely happen. The great thing about Wofford, they're so balanced. They're so balanced. Corey Tripp averaging 14 points a game, and Kyler Filowich, I believe his name is, averages 12 a night. And, I mean, Wofford had some wins, man. They beat St. Louis. They beat Furman. They lost a nail-biter to UNC Greensboro, but they got blown the fuck out by Duke earlier in the year. So, who really knows? But if you're looking for a good upset pick, Wofford could be it. But Wofford would be a one and done. All right, Anthony, am I dunking a basketball? What am I doing? All right. I'm bearing with you, baby. So, again, I really want to thank you guys for joining in to the show this evening. It was absolutely awesome being able to do a bracket live with you guys and giving you kind of like my insight on how I pick upsets and teams. I look at a lot of trends. I aggregate it from a couple different sources. CBS Sports, Bracketology, Reddit. I've even kind of gotten into using ChatGPT a little bit, inputting scores and box scores and trends from other teams in conferences, have it aggregate everything and kind of analyze for me. I mean, I was on my iPad the other day doing that for a while, and I mean, I think I taught ChatGPT a couple things, and it was pretty eye-opening the way that ChatGPT kind of calculates it. So, all right. So without further ado, we got anyone in the comment section? We got chat? All right. No, we don't, but
Good on chat.
all right.
Tom, come dunk. Come dunk and close us out.
I'm an athlete, dog. Do you have a camera on me?
I'm about to get a camera on you.
A little flat. It's a little flat. This is what it gives me to work with, guys. It's flat. I feel like Tom Brady deflating balls, baby. All right.
Get over here.
All right. Do I get to practice?
No practice. Just straight up. Ready?
Yeah.
Hold on now. Go ahead, Tom.
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. Hold up. Oh, Blake Griffin, dog. What's up? What's up,
There we
dog?
go.
All
There we
day.
go.
White chocolate.
Close out, Tom.
Thunder, baby. You guys have all made the cut. Thank you for joining us. March 18th, 2025. We will see you guys next week on Monday, where we're going to talk a little bit. I'm out of breath. We're going to talk. We're going to talk NCAA tournament, and we're probably going to talk a little bit of baseball as well. So can't wait to see you guys. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Stay happy, and above all, love yourself. Have a beautiful